Hi everyone, Kelly here, and I really just want to film outside because it's gorgeous today, but my neighbors were weed whacking and the dogs were barking next door, so sorry if there's a lot of external noises, but look at it, it's just beautiful, and it hasn't been beautiful for like a long time, so we're gonna go for it. And today I'm going to do a tag video. I'm going to do the intimidating TBR tag. And I was tagged by this just recently by my friend Cara from the Wilde Book Garden. I believe the original video is unavailable, like it was privated, so I can't link that one, but I'll link Cara's video down below. And I am really bad at doing tags. Like I just forget to do them. I'll be tagged and then I'll be like, oh, I'll get around to that. I don't. So when she tagged me last week, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this tag because I like it. And I have good answers, I think, for this. So we're going to do this. And also, because it's the intimidating TBR tag, I'm also wearing my so many books, so little time t-shirt with pigeon on it. So I think it goes well with the theme of the video. So let's get into it. There's 9 questions about books on your TBR. So the first one is a book on your TBR pile that you haven't finished. And when I look at my currently reading list on Goodreads, there is one book that has been on there forever, and I've tried reading it over and over again. I've had it from the library many times. I've tried the audiobook, I've tried the ebook. I still haven't DNF'd it. I still plan on finishing it, but I just haven't finished it, and that is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. I started this book, it said on Goodreads, on April 5th of 2019, so that's over a year ago, and I've made it halfway through the book. It's about an 800 some page book, and I did stop at like you know how like the book is split into sections, like book 1, book 2, book 3, and I stopped at one of those sections. So I'm just viewing this as, instead of it being a standalone, that it is a duology, and I read the first half last year, and I will pick it up, like it's at a good breaking spot, so I will pick it up at some point this year and finish it off. I don't want to DNF it because I was enjoying it. It's just, I don't own the physical copy. I don't really like to read really long books on ebook. I don't really do audiobooks for fantasy, so I've just had a hard time getting a hold of the physical book from the library and finishing it. So that's the one I just can't seem to finish. And then question number 2 is a book that you just haven't had time to read. And this is a hard question because I have time to read. I have read so many books in April, like I have plenty of time to read. So I'm going to view this as a book that I haven't read because I want to devote a lot of dedicated time to it, like I want to focus on it. So the book I want to save for this is East of Eden by John Steinbeck, and the reason I want to dedicate time to this is because when I read classics, I need focus a little more attention on them than I would a modern book, and this is kind of a bigger classic. It's what I've been wanting to read for a long time, and I just want to be able to focus on it and not like read maybe 7 books at once when I'm reading this because it is so big. So yeah, I just haven't like taken the time to focus just on that book. Question number 3 is a book you haven't read because it's a sequel. And this is one I've put on my TBR a million times in the last year, and that is, sorry, my books are getting wet from sitting on the porch. And that is A Well of Ascension by Sanderson. This is the second book in the Mistborn trilogy, and I read the first book last year, like a little over a year ago. I think it was around like February of 2019, and I kept meaning to pick this up, and I didn't. And now, it's been so long since I read the first one, now I haven't been picking it up because I think I need to reread the first book. And so now I'm trying to decide, do I reread it? Do I just read a spoiler review? So I have been, for several months, I've been meaning to pick this up, but can't decide if I should reread the first one. And now I'm supposed to be starting Way of Kings, which is the beginning in another one of his series, next month as a buddy read. And now I feel like really bad because I meant to finish this series before starting his other series. So I don't know when this is going to happen because now I'm starting Stormlight Archives. Question number 4 is a book you haven't read because it's brand new. And I have several new books out from the library, like before the library's closed down. I got a bunch of new releases, but the one that I've been holding off on is 8 Perfect Murders by Peter Swanson. And the reason I haven't picked this up, this came out in March, so it's only a month old, and I haven't picked it up yet, even though I really want to read it, because my plan was to read all of the books that the 8 Perfect Murderers in this book are based off before I read this book. And I started doing that. I'm going to have a video out for this, just so you know now I have a secret video coming out that this book is about a bookseller who writes an article about the 8 perfect murders in literature, and he spoils those books in this book. So I thought that I would read all of those 8 books, since if there are 8 perfect murders in books, I should enjoy those books because I like mystery and crime books. And I have read 6 of the 8 so far. When COVID-19 happened, I kind of got slowed down on this project and still haven't finished those other 2 books. So I really want to read this, but I have 2 more books to finish before I can pick this up. And I just need to push myself to finish those 2 because I really want to read this. Number 5 is a book you read by an author previously and didn't like. And that is The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. I read In a Dark, Dark Wood by Ruth Ware and hated it. But then I read another Ruth Ware book and really liked it. Her most recent one. And I enjoyed it. So I have this one and I should probably get around to it. I just don't know which side of the spectrum it's going to fall on. Is it going to fall on like In a Dark, Dark Wood where I despise it? Or is it going to go the other side, like Turn of the Key, is that what it was called? And be really good. So I just have been putting off picking it up because of that. Number 6 is a book on your TBR pile that you're just not in the mood to read. And, you know, I'm a mood reader in general, so a lot of books I own, obviously I haven't been in the mood to read, but more specifically one I said in my April TBR video that I just haven't picked up this month is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. I was supposed to be buddy reading this over the month with a group of people, and I haven't even picked it up and started it at all. And part of the reason is with all of the coronavirus things, I've been really like into quick reads, so things like romance or thrillers, like stuff that I can just kind of not really put a lot of brain energy into. And this being such a big book, being historical fiction and fantasy, it just feels a little more dense to me. So I just haven't been in the mood for this type of book at this time, and I think that's okay. Number 7 is a book on your TBR pile that you haven't picked up because it's enormous. And I have several big books, but I picked this one because it's also part of a series and all of them are enormous. And that is The Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett. This is a historical fiction book that I think is a trilogy, and all 3 books are this huge. Like, what is this? Almost 1,000 pages, and I think all 3 of them are 1,000 pages. Historical fiction is not one of my main genres. I've heard really great things about this one, but it's not one of my main genres, and each book in the series is like 1,000 pages long. So that seems like a big commitment to not, I could read one book that's that long, but to know I'm in for 3 books that are that long and in a genre that is not my normal genre. I just haven't gotten around to it because it's just an enormous task in my mind. Number 8 is a book on your TBR pile that you bought because of the cover. And I don't normally buy books based on the cover unless I know something else about them. Like, I usually go off of a recommendation and then I look for that book in the prettiest cover I can find. But in terms of a book I just bought because of the cover, I would have to say The Story of King Arthur and His Knights by Howard Pyle. Like, these Barnes & Noble classic editions are beautiful, and I bought several of them. And this one, I know about King Arthur, obviously, but I don't know about this version. I don't know if it's a good one. Like, there's so many different versions of this story, and I just don't know whether I'll enjoy this one, but it's beautiful. So hopefully someday I'll get around to trying it, and even if I don't like it, I might keep it, because not only is the cover beautiful, but let me see if I can find it. Each one of the chapters has these like beautiful pictures of all the different like characters. Like, that was Excalibur, and then like you'll see there's all these beautiful full page pictures. So it's beautiful, even if I decide I never get around to reading it. And then the last one is the book on your TBR you find the most intimidating. And this is one that it's probably one of the ones I've owned the longest on my TBR, and I've been putting it off because of its size, but also its content. And that is Alexander Hamilton by Ron Chernow. And this is a biography written about Alexander Hamilton. This was the book that Lin-Manuel Miranda read before he wrote the musical Hamilton. And I really want to read this because I think Alexander Hamilton is a fascinating person. I think that time in history is interesting to read about. But I'm not somebody that reads history books or biographies. And so putting that together with the fact that this book is huge just makes it seem like it's going to be a slog to get through, but I've heard people say it's still interesting. So it intimidates me, but I want to at least like get around to it eventually, maybe split it up into sections and tackle one section a month. But that will just mean committing myself to getting into it and moving through. So that feels like the most intimidating book for me. So that's it for this tag. Well, that was a bit awkward. UPS pulled into my driveway right in the middle of doing this. I'm like sitting on my porch with, you know, my tripod, my computer, and a huge stack of books. I wonder if he thinks I'm really crazy. But anyways, that was the end of the tag. I just wanted to tag a few people. I'm going to tag Tori from Tecken Novels, Alex from Pucksandpaperbacks, and Charlie from ReaderTurnedWriter. I'll link all of their channels down below, and you should check them out. And if you want to do this tag and you haven't been tagged, go ahead and do it. I give you full permission. And I hope you are having a beautiful day like I am. See you next time. Bye.